Recently, everything changed in Warzone 2. The time to kill got overhauled with Win-Max armor damage, and the 11 assault rifles have been completely mixed. Which one is the best now? Let me give the time to kill for all 11 from the worst to the best, and loadouts for the top 5 so you can choose for yourself. The worst one being the Kastov 74U with 1196 milliseconds time to kill. Forget to play this gun on range at any cost. That gets followed up by the Kastov 545, which is 200 milliseconds faster with a 1012 and almost seems viable. But if you shoot it on range, you have some less than optimal recoil going on and quite some unruliness in the side, and that would already be the most recoil optimal build. Now, the Lachman's 556 that everyone seems to love is only at 996 milliseconds, right where the Kastov 545 is, and it really does shoot pebbles. And the biggest problem is, if someone is rotating from building A to B, you have a window of opportunity to kind of shoot him, and that's where the Lachman 556 often falls short, and other guns can just beam them in that short window of opportunity. Now, that gets followed up by the Chimera at 975 milliseconds, and it sounds plenty good, but it has a huge bullet velocity issue, and it's better to be played as a sniper or canted. Because as a sniper support gun, this one truly is amazing and has the time to kill of an SMG, and you can actually play it extremely good. But you notice when you're trying to shoot at like 60 meters, there's quite some wibble wobble going on, but the 20 and the 40 meters should be absolutely possible. Now, the M4 is at 962 milliseconds, and that would be number 6. But the number 5 is actually the TAC 56 with 960 milliseconds. There are two options now. The M4 is for aggressive players. The TAC 56 is more for people that like to go for a longer range. For the M4, we could take the high tower barrel, tune out the damage range on 25 and the recoil steadiness on 40. Follow up with the Harbinger D20 to stay off the radar band, and then get a little bit more aiming idle stability to get rid of the recoil varines, and some recoil smoothness to minimize the recoil varines. And we're actually going to be playing this without high velocity rounds. Obviously, a 60 round mag, ADS time got buffed on this. You can only play a lower magnification side Corvus Solar SC recharge. Choose your poison on these. There's no better one when it comes down to these kinds. Ammo PV4, SC Pro, it's whatever you prefer there. These 4 attachments, it feels plenty okay, but due to the high fire rate, you notice quite some climb at the end. So you're shooting strain, but the climb is quite significant. Therefore, I propose usually either the FTech Ripper or the Lock Grip Precision. I do try to give you 2 options here because you can choose your poison, which one does work better for you personally and your brain. This is bonus recoil steadiness, and it allows you to keep that really nicely on. And you notice where it goes a little bit left to right. And if you now swap that over to the FTech Ripper and give it aiming idle stability and recoil stabilization, it might be a little bit smoother for you. But you might also be on controller or mouse and keyboard, so the gun feels different for you anyhow. But you notice how it like pulls a little bit more up now as I'm using the FTech Ripper in the end. So it has a more aggressive vertical pull in this case. It still feels good enough. Now for the TAC 56, it can also be played aggressive, but it can also shoot a bit more stable on range, because with the 60 round mag, and if you're putting on the SC recharge, or in this case, you could actually play a higher magnification sight with the VLK optic if you feel like it. But with the SC recharge already and no other attachments, that's your recoil. Fairly non-existent due to the low fire rate of the gun, allowing you to ISO Hemlock style pinpoint precision. Now for this gun, the barrels are useless, so you do need to actually play high velocity rounds for recoil steadiness and recoil smoothness. You could follow that up with a Harbinger D20 for more aiming idle stability for the recoil variation as the recoil smoothness goes as well. That's 4 attachments in, and you are very stable. You do notice very less bibbity bounds. I mean, that in comparison to the M4, it's like taka 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 taka. You go over to the right, there's some horizontal variation, and due to the not so high fire rate, I prefer the Ripper over the steadiness for the stability against recoil variation and the stabilization, to give it like that little bit extra oomph to just make it feel even more stable and be able to beam that truly away on the distance. Time to kill wise, absolutely on top. Now, who's the number 4? That's actually a split slot. Kastov 762 with 900 milliseconds, and the ISO Hemlock as well, still with 900 milliseconds. And here, if you have a direct comparison between these two, the ISO Hemlock with the Fielder T50 on damage range and recoil steadiness, with a higher magnification side if you like to, and that's a big advantage of the gun over others. Yes, you can actually play a VLK optic, 45 round mag only, followed up with the muzzle, and that would be a Harbinger D20 as well on aiming idle stability and recoil smoothness. With last but not least, I do like to go for the FTech Ripper in the gun for stability and recoil stabilization, giving you really that absolute low recoil laser beam. Yes, there's some bibbity bounce, but it is really easy to keep on, and it's still the gun where the TTK is really the TTK. If you compare that now to the Kastov 762, and we're only putting on the 40 round mag, and yes, that feels stupid, it's going from the 40 to the 30, and obviously a lower magnification side, because the higher magnification will really not work here for far and aim down side speed. Without any attachments, you already notice this one wants to be played aggressive. It's not a 200 meter beamers. This is for your aggressive player that rushes in, is the first one to breach. And for this gun, I would truly go for high velocity rounds and put them on recoil steadiness and recoil smoothness instead of going for the muzzle barrel combo, because the barrel ain't that good. Also, since you're playing this aggressive, you don't want the movement speed minus that the barrel actually puts down. Rather put on the bonus of the lock grip precision for the bonus aim down side speed, hit recoil control, recoil steadiness, so you can rush even faster in. That's exactly what you're looking for. You're being the aggressive player. You got to choose here if you want to be the suppression with the, and you got to choose here for suppression with the ZLR Talon, and that goes for aiming idle stability and recoil smoothness, or to take something for even more recoil control. But we just said it, you're the aggressive player. So you're going to be rushing in, and your top's going to be shooting that distance. But you notice there is some aggressive bounce going on, and that's where I like to swap the Talon often for the TIE LR8. And then go for Genki control and recoil stabilization to really keep it like on the one horizontal bounce on the distance here to have that better on. Again, 100 meters and below and very aggressive pushing is how you're going to play this. Next up as number 2 time to kill is actually the STB556. Yes, gun got recently a lot buffed. Only has a 42 round mag, shame, but still extremely good. And here also the nice thing is, you could play this with a higher magnification side due to the low recoil with the Schlager, for example, for far and aim down side speed. Now, it does have a very cool barrel, and that's the Bruin Tarraco, giving you a huge chunk of bullet velocity, and you could tune this for more damage range and recoil steadiness, followed up with the high velocity rounds on even more recoil steadiness and recoil smoothness. With these 4 attachments, you have a plenty low recoil. You can really handle this well. But you notice there's some variation going on in the back here, and that is partially due to the higher magnification side that you actually have that in your eyes. So if you just go for a lower magnification with the SD recharge and go for far and aim down side speed, it already does feel way less, because most of the guns, they, just feel that much because of the higher magnification. But you can also do something about it. Now you're putting on the comb, and here you get something that does recoil steadiness. Yes, a huge chunk, plus recoil stabilization and aiming idle stability. Gives it a nice little boost to really take care of that last little bit of wonky feeling recoil. Swapping the SD recharge here again over to the VLK optic or the Schlager, whatever you prefer. And again, that, and yes, on the distance as well. The STB has really turned out to be, for me, one of my favorite beamers, but also in my eyes for the more aggressive player, because it really dominates due to like a very good reload, but also very fast movement. So you can whoop this out relatively quick and not like the other ARs that might feel a little bit more sluggish. Now, the number 1 is the M13B with 852 milliseconds. So even faster than the 891. There is a hidden beamer with below 800 milliseconds. But let me go on the M13B as a very aggressive one, 100 meters and below. Can be shot higher, but there you would want to mount. The M13B gets played with the SC recharge or whatever you prefer again on these sides for far and aim down side speed with a 60 round mag, followed up by the high velocity rounds, because yes, there is some bullet velocity issues on recoil smoothness and steadiness with the lock grip precision. Or if you like it, the FTech Ripper. A lot of people have reported they don't like the horizontal bibbity bounce of the gun. So I'll show the recoil stabilization road and the Harbinger D20, which can be swapped for even more recoil control if you feel like you need that. Now for me, this gun is truly fun, and I've been playing it a lot in ranked, and I'm playing this rather aggressive. So I play it together with an SMG to get up close. And then if someone is really rotating from this building A to B because the gas pushes them out or they have to do their rotation, you can really keep it on so nicely and just get your window of opportunity where you absolutely outbeam an enemy. And due to 60 rounds and the high fire rate, even if you miss 1 or 2 bullets, you just get the other 100 in. Now I promised a sleeper, and that's surprisingly the M16 was 763 milliseconds time. Yeah, it sounds stupid, 763 milliseconds time to kill. The problem, to truly get the most out of this gun, you would just have to use it single fire with a full auto macro. Yes, I said it, it is what it is, and I just got killed by this in my latest ranked match. With a 60 round mag and the magnification, you could technically swap it over to single fire, and yes, it doesn't show in the bottom right, but still, and you can actually do relatively precise shots with it. You can forget using this as a burst gun, because as a burst gun, even if you're trying to keep it on, you're kind of a little bit all over the place. Even if you put on all the attachments that work for this, so with the high velocity rounds on recoil steadiness and smoothness, with a muzzle as the Harbinger D20 on aiming idle stability and recoil smoothness, and then followed up by the F-Tech Ripper to get really the recoil variation rate, since you're going to be like single firing. And then if you burst it, like you notice the problem, like try to shoot that on a head peak, like with the aggressive climb. But if you put this on single fire, it truly feels good. And the nice thing is you can also put off the 60 round mag, because why would you use 60 rounds on a single fire tapper? And we can do the Sakin ZX grip for even more aiming idle stability and recoil steadiness to get you a bigger boost on keeping this gun on. But again, it's a single fire. So if you would be using this with a full auto macro, this is me still single firing, by the way, you would have a chance to truly get some nasty shots in, but full auto macros are cheating. So the 763 milliseconds time to kill is a theory one that you'll most likely never really achieve due to your clicking restraints. Now, as a heads up, there is the Cronin Squall with an 816 single and an auto 757 milliseconds time to kill, better than the assault rifles. And all the LMGs are 810 milliseconds and below, but they wibble wobble over the place. They're very cumbersome to play, and right now it's all about agility and zooming fast over the map. That's why we're focusing mostly on the assault rifles as long range beamers. No worries, there's going to be the full LMG breakdown to kind of see which one is actually still viable on range. And by the way, the RPK still has an 800 milliseconds time to kill. If you now want to know more about the F-Tech Siege, that's the new pistol. Yes, that also works as an SMG replacement. Full breakdown. Watch it.